This is the Easter season, the season in which all Christians in the whole world celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ and try to memorize their mind the life and the death of Jesus Christ when he was here on this planet. That's why we created this video in order to make you aware of what is the meaning of Easter and why Christians people in the whole world celebrate this today, because in the 12th of this month, in the 12th of the April month of this year, the Christians people in the whole world, especially those who follow the Gregorian calendar, they are going to celebrate the Easter. But in the naming of the celebration of the Easter, it seems when we go back that this name in the pre-Christian, there was a goddess in England known as Eostre. This Eostre or Eostre was celebrated at the beginning of the spring of each year. And it turns out that Easter actually began as a pagan festival celebrating in the spring of each year before the Christian entered into the Europe continent in the Northern Hemisphere, especially to the England country, to the Anglo-Saxon peoples. In the first couple of centuries after Jesus' arrival, feast days in the new Christian church were attached to all pagan festivals according to Professor Cusack, and that is all. And in the Council of Nicaea, which held at 325 AD, decreed that Easter should be observed on the first Sunday following the first full moon after the spring equinox. But in the real context, Easter, according to the perception and the context of Christian faith, is a holiday that celebrates the belief in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. In the New Testament of the Bible, the event is said to have occurred 3 days after Jesus was crucified by the Romans and died in roughly at 30 AD. The holiday concludes the Passion of Christ. As all we know that Christ is love, that is why they say that it is the Passion of Christ. A series of events and holidays that begins with Lent at 40 days period of fasting, prayer, and sacrifice, especially to the Catholics, and ends with Holy Week, which includes Holy Thursday, the celebration of Jesus' Last Supper with his 12 apostles, also known as Maundy Thursday, which is followed by Good Friday, on which Jesus' crucifixion is observed, and Easter Sunday, although a holiday of high religious significance. In the Christian faith, many traditions associated with Easter date back to pre-Christian pagan times, as I told you at the beginning of this video. So, in this 2020, when is Easter going to be celebrated? At 2020, it seems that Easter it will be celebrated at the Sunday of April 12 of this year. However, Easter falls on a different date each year. Easter Sunday and the related celebrations such as Ash Wednesday and the Palm Sunday are considered movable feasts. Although in Western Christianity, which follows the Gregorian calendar, Easter always falls on a Sunday between March 22 and April 25. Easter typically falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon, occurring on or after the spring equinox. In Eastern Orthodox Christianity, which adheres to the Julian calendar, Easter falls on a Sunday between April 4 and May 8 each year. In some denominations of Protestant Christianity, Easter Sunday marks the beginning of Eastertide or the Easter season. Eastertide ends on the 5th day after Easter, which is known as Pentecost Sunday. In Eastern Orthodox branches of Christianity, Easter Sunday serves as the start of the season of Pascha, Greek for Easter, which ends 40 days later, which is a holiday known as the Feast of the Ascension. Why is Easter called Easter? Saint Bede is venerable at the 6th century, also of Historia Ecclesiastica of the English people, maintains that the English word Easter comes from Elstre, as I told you at the beginning of this video, or Elstre, the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring and fertility. As historians also maintain, the Easter derives from in Albs, a Latin phrase that plural of alba, or dawn, that became Estrum, which means the dawn, a precursor to the English language of today. Despite its significance as a Christian holiday, many of the traditions and the symbols that play a key role in Easter observes actually have roots in pagan celebrations, particularly the pagan goddess Elstre, and in the Jewish holiday of Passover. And you have to remember that this Elstre, it is the same as Easter, known in Babylon long before the coming of Jesus Christ in the world. So, religious tradition of Easter, according to Christianity, the resurrection of Jesus, as described in the New Testament of the Bible, is essentially the foundation upon which the Christian religions are built. Easter is a very significant date on the Christian calendar, as I told you in the beginning of this video. According to the New Testament, Jesus was arrested by the Roman authorities, essentially because he claimed to be the Son of God. Although historians question this motive, with some saying that the Romans may have viewed him as a threat to the empire, and that is a reality at all. He was sentenced to death by Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect in the province of Judea, from 26 to 36 AD. Anno Domini. Jesus' death by crucifixion, marked by the Christian holiday Good Friday, the Friday before Easter, and the subsequent resurrection 3 days later, is said by the authors of the Gospels to prove that he was the living Son of God. In varying ways, all 4 of the Gospels in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, state that those who believe in Jesus' death and his resurrection are given the gift of eternal life, meaning that those of faith will be welcomed into the kingdom of heaven upon the earthly death, according to the Christian faith. So, according to this Easter, before the coming of this day to be called Easter, long before it was called Passover. Notably, Easter is also associated with the Jewish holiday, this I told you, Passover, as well as the exodus of the Jews from Egypt, as described in the Old Testament. These links are clearly seen in the Last Supper, which occurs the night before Jesus' arrest, and the sufferings Jesus endured following his arrest. The Last Supper was essentially a Passover feast, however, the New Testament describes it as being given a new significance by Jesus. He identified the matzah, or bread he shared with his 12 apostles, as his body, and the cup of wine he drank as his blood. These rituals would come to symbolize the sacrifice he was about to make in death, and became the basis for the Christian ritual of Holy Communion, which remains a fundamental part of Christian religious services. As Jesus' arrest and execution were said to have occurred during the Jewish observance of Passover, the Easter holidays are often called the formal celebration on the Judeo-Christian calendar. In Western Christianity, including Roman Catholicism and the Protestant denominations, in USA, Europe, the period prior to Easter holds special significance. This period of fasting and penitence is called Lent. It begins on Ash Wednesday and lasts for 4 days, not including Sundays. The Sunday immediately prior to Easter is called Palm Sunday, and it commemorates Jesus alive in Jerusalem, when followers laid palm leaves across the road to greet him. Many churches begin the Easter observance in the later hours of the day before, on Saturday, in a religious service called the Easter Vigil. It is Orthodox Christianity. Easter rituals start with the Great Lenten, which begins on Clean Monday, 4 days prior to Easter, not including Sundays. The last week of Great Lent is referred to as Palm Week, and it ends with Lazarus Saturday, the day before Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday marks the beginning of Holy Week, which ends on Easter. In other scenes, there is something called eggs, which appears in this Easter, and many people always social reality TV shows Easter eggs and buns. Why? Why is this Easter eggs and buns shown on reality TV show at Easter? Irrespective of denomination, there are many Easter time traditions which roots that can be traced to non-Christians and even pagan or non-religious celebrations. Many non-Christians choose to observe these traditions while essentially ignoring the religious aspects of their celebrations. Examples of non-religious Easter traditions include Easter eggs and related games such as egg rolling and egg decorating. It is believed that eggs represent the fertility and birth in certain pagan traditions that predate Christianity. Egg decorating may have become part of the Easter celebration due to the religious significance of Easter. Jesus' resurrection of the birth. Many people, mostly children, also participate in Easter egg hunts in which decorated eggs are hidden. Perhaps the most famous Easter tradition for children is the annual White House Easter egg roll, when children roll Easter eggs down Capitol Hill. In some households, a character known as the Easter Bunny delivers the candy and chocolate eggs to children on Easter Sunday morning. This candy is often alive in an Easter basket. The exact origins of the Easter Bunny tradition are unknown, although some historians believe it lived in America with German immigrants in the 17th years, in the 8th century. But it is still anonymous. Rabbits are in many cultures known as enthusiastic procreators, so the arrival of baby bunnies in springtime meadows became associated with birth and renewal. Notably, several Protestant Christian denominations, including Lutherans and Quakers, have opted to formally abandon many Easter traditions, deeming them too pagan. However, many religious observers of Easter also include them in their celebrations. Easter foods are steeped in symbolism. An Easter dinner of lamb also is historical roots, since lamb was often used as a sacrificial animal in Jewish traditions. A lamb is frequently served during Passover. The phrase "Lamb of God" is sometimes used to refer to Jesus and the sacrificial nature of his death. Today is a commercial event as well as a religious holiday, marked by high sales for greeting cards, candles, such as Pepsi, chocolate, eggs and chocolate Easter bunnies, and other gifts. In conclusion, Easter is one among the most important of all celebrations in which Christians are celebrating, because it holds the basic foundation of the Christian faith, as it is believed that Jesus Christ came to this earth, then he was sentenced to death, crucified, then at the third day he was resurrected. And the resurrection is the basic foundation of the Christian faith. That is why even St. Paul of the biblical apostles said that if anyone rejects or denies that Jesus Christ wasn't resurrected, he is the Antichrist, because he rejects the whole meaning of Christianity. Because if Jesus Christ wasn't resurrected, it means all Christians in the whole world, all who have already died in that faith and who still believe that Jesus was resurrected, are all perishes. Because this Christian faith are based on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But today's Easter, it became a commercial activity, and it holds many pre-Christian pagan symbols and celebrations inside it. In conclusion, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss other interesting videos like this. And my name is Edson.